Hi, welcome to Fantastic Fantastic. I am your co-host, Joey. Honestly, I'm so happy that you are seeing a point in therapy. Not even seeing a point. I think you knew that therapy was already important, but I'm glad to hear that it's working for you because I do remember our early conversations where you were like, I don't know if this is really working. What are they doing? Do they even know what they're doing? They being the therapist. But now you're like, well, I'm exploring myself. I'm seeing all these new sides. I'm really thinking about myself deeper and seeing how I think and how my past has affected me. I think it's interesting that you have that, I guess, experience because I feel like for me, I feel like how you felt in the beginning. I think I was nowadays my sessions don't feel as productive almost because I feel like I'm not uncovering as much as I did in earlier sessions, but I think that's just because from the jump I completely opened my heart knowing that this person only knows me and doesn't know the people around me and they can't really affect those aspects of my life. Like they're just someone I can talk to and connect with emotionally. And I think that made it really easy to grow and change in the beginning. Like when I started therapy, I was so depressed, so anxious, felt such severe signs of hopelessness. And that was why I was in therapy. I was really determined to accomplish that goal. And I don't know, do something about how depressed I was being. Because at a certain point, I feel like talking to a friend isn't going to do what you need it to do. And what you need is actual help from a professional and someone who could give you guidance and someone who also can't affect your life or doesn't have a hold on your life or the people that you personally know. I feel like one thing about therapy that's really nice is that I think you mentioned this, your therapist just helps you get to answers and helps you think and guides you in that sense. I feel like a lot of my thinking, I say I'm introspective, I guess. Yes, I am. But when I journal, I feel like sometimes I don't draw the conclusions that help me move forward. But when I'm with my therapist, they guide me into thinking and drawing conclusions that help me make progress and help me really reflect on how I feel and what I can do with those reflections, which I think is really nice. But back to what I was saying. Yeah, I feel like I improved early on, or I gave my heart, exposed myself so early on that I made a lot of progress in the beginning. But as 2025 ended, I slowly was like, things are getting better that I'm not really sure what the point of therapy is. I describe my week and I'd be like, I don't know, it's pretty good. Last session I was like, it's pretty good. I don't know. And I feel like I'm at a point where I don't even know what the point of therapy is. See, I thought that in the beginning, in the first 5 minutes of the session, but then we started getting into attachment theory and my attachment style. And I was like, this is why. This is why this is why I have a therapist. And I think my therapist just also again helped me understand where my attachment style comes from and what exactly it means for me and how that manifests in my life. One thing that's good about a therapist, I'd say, is that they keep track of yourself. I don't know how to word that. I'll mention things, I don't know, from the very beginning of our sessions, our early sessions, and I'm starting to see things come back around and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, it's all connected. Of course, I'm a human being and everything I do and every experience is not in a vacuum. It's all connected. Stuff like that. So that's how I feel about therapy. I'm really glad. I'm really glad it's working for you. I feel like for the longest time, especially with your two other previous therapists, you're like, I feel like I don't need it because I already have the answers. I'm introspective. I do the work, blah, 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 blah. But even with someone like you who I feel like thinks that they've done the work, there's still always work to be. There's always things to uncover and things to learn about yourself that I feel like therapy has made me not take for granted. I'm not going to take for granted that I am a complicated human being and then there's so much to explore and that everything is worth exploring. Like one thing my therapist told me was that like I have certain reactions when it comes to like connecting with people, like romantic or like feeling deeply with someone, not in a romantic way, even platonically, and I'll just like kind of like shrivel up a little. Um, is this because I have issues and I'm like avoidant and I've had a terrible past with like opening up? Yes. Why yes? Um, and yet somehow I didn't put that together. I don't know. I think that like a therapist is beneficial in those ways. Something else that's been on my mind this week is how important community is. I just came from a hangout and well, I did two things. I hung out with some people I met at Gator Camp. You were there. LOL. And that was really fulfilling. And then I also had a Galentine's Day thing with my new friends. And I feel like this whole day has just taught me or has reminded me how important it is to have a community. I mean, our first season of the podcast was literally about friendship and community, but I think it's just something that like I keep learning in different forms and it's just so exciting. I feel like I'll never get tired of like having a really good hangout and really meeting and connecting with new people. Actually, which reminds me, a couple weeks ago, I went to this like creator collective thing where it was like a launch party for someone's like creative collective where they promote artists, graphic designers, etc., musicians, whatever. And it was just so nice and so fulfilling to talk to people who are also creative because I think when sometimes you can talk to people about like having a creative pursuit and they, especially like older middle-aged people, I've had my fair share of conversations where they'll immediately go to, oh, you'll change your dreams. Oh, you have time. Oh, it's okay if you change your mind. You'll change your mind eventually. Like that I'll like reach this conclusion that this was all like having a graphic design major degree, studying graphic design, like doing YouTube, like it'll all just be a waste of time. And at the end you'll just realize that you'll change your mind and you'll go back to nursing like the Filipino you're meant to be. I honestly get that a lot. And it's really tiring as someone who wants to believe in themselves and does. I feel like it's really hard to get not bogged down by people who comment that. And there's always the association that adults are like wiser. And then they tell you stuff like that. And then you're like, did I make a mistake? But that's why I think community is so important because like meeting people who do creative things also reminds me that like everyone's just trying and that my goals as a creative person and as someone who wants to make art and wants to do something that's probably out of the norm, like those dreams are still worth it. Those dreams are still worth pursuing and that it takes work, but it's worth it. Like, I think it can be really isolating to do something that you like and that like no one else around you enjoys making. Like I'm glad we have each other for that very reason. I feel like it's really easy to like go to you and be like, this is worth it. And then you'll be like, yes, it is. But still, sometimes it is still isolating because you're just like, am I doing the right thing? Like, why is it so much work? Blah, 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 blah. And then you realize that like it's a lot of work for everyone. And you kind of start feeling better and you're like, okay, so my feelings are normal. I'm not actually insane. Like doing the creative thing and like doing the thing that doesn't have the clear roadmap in front of you is a lot of work, but it is also fun. And I should remind myself that it's fun and that I have people to support me and that I have community and that is just worth it. I don't know. Yeah, so I've been appreciating community in that way, not just as a form of like entertainment and like non-brain rot entertainment, I guess, but just as a way to like recognize and like appreciate your own dreams and keep going for them. I feel like when we talk about community, like being friends with people who do things that you like is so important. And you can let me know how you feel about this, but like I keep learning that lesson and again and again and again, and I never get tired of it. I'm never like, darn, why did I learn this lesson again? I'm always excited. Um, but yeah, I think today I'm just really appreciative of having friends and meeting all these new people and living in LA and being able to just like be surrounded by people who make stuff. Cause it's definitely different from people who like, there's a difference between like wanting to make something and actually making something, because there's so much work that goes into making something and like doing that action, that like now that I've done this and I've been doing it with you, I feel like I can appreciate people who also try and do whatever they want to go for. Like it is a lot of work, and I'm not just taking it for face value. I'm like, when I see someone put out work into the world, I'm like, wow, that must have taken a lot of work, and I'm gonna appreciate the time and effort that they put in this. Yeah. Other than that, I don't know. I hope you're having a good week. Um, hope everything's well, and I just really appreciate you, and you're the best company ever. Okay, that's it. Um, I don't know. Respond to this whenever, I guess, or stuff. We'll see if we like this, cause I don't. I feel like I'm really good at riffing with you in particular. So I'm interested to see how it is just hear me talk, and that I like have to wait and you're not like next to me and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Alright, anyways, whatever. Okay, bye.